All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is another one thanks to my friend Dan, and this is going to be an overview of 3 knives from Great Eastern Cutlery. These are 3 knives from their recent run of the 68 pattern, and they are 2 different versions of the pattern, 3 different models in particular, but I really do want to thank Dan again for allowing me to make this video, because I actually didn't get any of the 68s from this run. I just wasn't super into them. The 68 is a pattern that I actually don't know that I've ever had. It is an equal end, kind of a cigar type pattern, and they've made a couple different versions. They've made the Pony Jack, which you'll get to see, the White Owl, which is a multi-blade knife in the sense that the Pony Jack is a jack, has both blades on one end. The White Owl has a blade on either end. They also have made a Stockman, and if they had made the Stockman version on this run, I definitely would have tried to get one. I'd like to get one of those because I'm a fan of the 53 Stockman, which is a larger cigar equal end pattern from GEC, but they didn't make it, so I just didn't get any. I wasn't following along as closely at the time, and so I wouldn't be able to make a video on these if not for my friend Dan, so I appreciate it. Let's take a look at this Pony Jack first. Like I said, this is a jack, so both blades come out of the same end of the knife. It's the 68 1221, meaning that it is made in 2021, and as you will see, it has 2 blades, the main blade being a clip point. So if you're not familiar with GEC's pattern system, you can look that up. I'll tell you, boy, this is a nice looking knife, isn't it? I gotta be honest, the Cocobolo on these, at least this one, is really nice looking. It is a very classic looking knife with the shieldless look. Very, I guess I would say, utilitarian for and minimalist for a traditional knife. Now, the reason why I don't really get into the Pony Jack is because I've tried it several times, but I just can't get into the pen blade being in front of the main blade on a jackknife. So often it makes it difficult to get at the nail nick, or in this case, long pull of the main blade. Now, a lot of people really like it in that way, rather than the pen blade being behind the main blade or the secondary blade being behind the main blade. I definitely prefer the secondary blade being behind the main blade, because it just so often obscures the access to however you open the main blade. A lot of people say it doesn't matter on a knife like this, and you can get at that long pull. You can see it has no half stop, and then it has the Pony Jack edge on the blade. But I just prefer to not have that in the way. I'll show you the pen blade, nail nick rather than a long pull. And both of these blades have really nice pull, really nice action. I would say both are right around a 5, but they have very, very smooth and kind of crisp walk and talk, as you can see. Nice snap open on the pen, nice snap closed. Same on the main blade. Both are really well centered. No proud tip on either. No gaps. Just a really nicely made knife. So it does kind of honestly make me sad a little bit. If this had the pen blade in the back, I for sure would have bought one, put it in my pocket, and put it to use right away. Definitely. Without a doubt. Because it really looks classic with the nickel silver liners and all of that. I think that this is a really nice knife. I just don't prefer that. But a lot of people do, like I said, and I do think that this is a really good example of GEC quality. It really doesn't get much better than this, honestly, quality-wise. There's no real issues. It's classic looking, well made. I have no complaints about this knife from a quality standpoint. I just don't like that as much. But I wanted to make sure to show it off. That's a good looking knife, well made knife. And that is a great example of the Pony Jack. So let's take a look at both of the white owl knives. Now they made several different versions, and I have here the cowhide jigged bone, 681221. So the interesting thing is that these have the same pattern numbers, but you'll see that they are a little different here. They do have pins, but this is the cowhide jigged bone, and you see right away a difference. I'm going to get the other out at the same time here. This is the sandbar stag. Again, the same pattern number designation. If I can get it out. There we go. And again, you notice a difference here. So the white owl, like I said, is a multi-blade, or a what's sometimes called a pen blade, a pen knife, versus a jack. It's always a little confusing, the multi-blade, because jackknives can have multiple blades, and the pen blade, because pen blades or multi-bladed knives don't always have a pen blade, pen-shaped blade. So there's not a great, name for it, but basically it means that rather than both blades coming out of the same end, one comes out of each end. Now, to be honest, I'm not real sure why I didn't get one of these, because I do like this type of knife. But one thing is that a lot of these had blade rub, and that's because instead of it being a 2-spring knife, being that it was a jackknife on the Pony Jack, this is a 1-spring knife. So it's a little thinner, and it is definitely going to be a little easier to carry. Not that the Pony Jack wouldn't be easy to carry, but because it's a 1-spring knife, they have to fit both springs into the blade well, which is a little bit more difficult. I do think that this white owl stamp on this bar shield on the cowhide jigged bone, which is very similar to their cougar clawed bone and their woodland micarta jigging, but it's bone, and it's called, what do they call it? Cowhide jigged bone. It's very similar to those others, but I do like the white owl on the bar shield on this. The other thing that was a surprise was that these have this Howard stamp. It's kind of interesting because the story that I heard online is that this Howard is a nod to, there was a Howard knife company or a Howard knife brand. And I don't know if GEC owns that brand. I suppose that that's not the trademark of that brand, and probably no one is using the trademark of that brand. But it's interesting that they would kind of have a nod to a brand that they don't actually use. But it's kind of cool. Let's see if I can get a better view of it. There is an owl on a branch, and I do think it's kind of cool looking. I'm going to try real hard not to exacerbate the rubbing issue on these knives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the main blade, open the pen blade, close the main blade, and there lies the issue. I don't, for a collector knife, I don't like to have to do that. I don't think I would have gotten these as a collector knife. I would have gotten them just as a user. But there's the pen blade, same deal, nice snap on both of these blades. But the thing that also often happens on these multi-blade knives is that the pen blades often sit a little higher. Now this one is actually pretty good, to be honest. The tip doesn't sit proud on this one. I'll open up the main blade again, and you can see that that tip does not sit proud. You can't catch it with a fingernail or anything. So honestly, this one's pretty good, and I want to show you the same on this sandbar stag. So no proud tip on the clip point, but the pen blade on this one is what I would consider proud. Maybe not everyone would, but yeah, you can catch it with your fingernail there. So I wouldn't be real happy with that. The other thing is, on a knife like this where the pen blade sits pretty low, if you do have to lower the kick, drop the kick at all, you'll have to cut into the handle. I have a great example of that sitting right here. Like I mentioned, I like the 53 frame, which is a very similar frame. This is a Stockman or Cattle knife version of it. And you can see that I've done that for the spay blade here. I've actually used a Dremel to cut into the handle far enough that I can get to that nail nick a lot easier. without, you know, causing any issues with the pin. Don't necessarily recommend you do that because, you know, might void your warranty, probably will void your warranty, but I didn't care on this knife. I wanted to carry and use it. Just saying that if you needed to drop the kick on the pen blade on this to get the tip below the handles or below the blade well, you might have to, you know, cut into this handle to be able to access that nail nick as easily as I might like. Actually, pretty nice stag on this handle. I do like it. It's got a little bit of popcorn to it, some valleys, which is always nice. And I think that the handles here are relatively simple, but also nice, give a little bit of grip, would be good for a user. And like I say, I like this bar. So I do like multi-bladed knives. I think that these would make a good user as long as you get one where those tips don't sit proud, unless that doesn't bother you, and you can access the nail nick on the pen blade pretty easily. But very slim knives, very easy to carry. They both have pinched bolsters, as you can see, pinched and lined bolsters, which is a nice touch. Neither of them have gaps, as you can see, and both of them do fit the blades together pretty well, although at least from reports I've seen, a relatively good number of these White Owls did have blade rub. One thing to be aware of, as I mentioned, is that the blade rub can be worsened or even kind of caused by pushing the main blade or either blade across too much while you're opening the knife, and you know, that can make it a little worse. But I have really enjoyed getting to see these because, like I said, I didn't get any of them, didn't get a single one from this run. Went from 2020 buying every knife in a run for a while to 2021 skipping several runs. So we'll see what 2022 holds for me. So far, I did get the flag acrylic knives on the 94 and 49 frames. I'm planning to try to get the blue bone ones, but have skipped the garnet jigged bones. But I will have a video, again, thanks to Dan, on the garnet jigged bone. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed getting to check them out. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you know when I post new videos. Also check out my social media. I am on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts, and my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like these and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.